Hi, I'm back and I am going to be doing this video topic on the Gospels of Thomas. Um, I was listening to the Gospels of Thomas audiobook while I was getting ready this morning by Man of Letters. Y'all all know Man of Letters. He does great audiobooks. He has a YouTube channel, and I linked the audiobook for Gospels of Thomas below in the description bar. Or you can go to his channel and check out Gospels of Thomas. It's not very long. I'd say it's about 30 minutes or less. And very profound knowledge in Gospels of Thomas. I read it when I was younger. I read it again when I was a little bit older. And then I listened to the audiobook again. And it's just the whole thing is coded and is dropping a lot of knowledge that actually has to do with today and a lot of things that is being revealed and things like that. So, yes. So, a lot of people, when they read the Gospels of Thomas, they were confused at a lot of the metaphor. And when Jesus was talking about the two must become one, the male must become like the female, and the woman must become like the male and to enter the kingdom of heaven. You must hate your mom and your father and your mother. Like a lot of these quotes are very confusing to someone who's not trying to decode. So I wanted to tell you that a lot of those a lot of those quotes and metaphor are actually saying a lot of the same stuff that we discuss on this channel. So we'll just start off with the last line, and the last line was when the female becomes like the male, then she can enter into the kingdom. Now, a lot of people will be like, "What? She's supposed to be a man? She's supposed to get a sex change? Is she supposed to go and drag?" No, no, no. But the question was asked by one of the disciples. Um, you know, women don't deserve life. Why does Mary have to? Why are you teaching Mary women don't deserve eternal life? Da da da. And so Jesus said, "I will teach Mary to become like the man, and then so she can enter into the kingdom." So when he said, "I will teach her how to become like the man," he doesn't literally mean become a man. He means how to think like a man, how to think on both sides of your brain, how to use logic rather than being over emotional, how to see from a man's perspective as well as a woman's perspective. That's what he means when the two must become one. And then also, a lot of women only think very one sided. They don't understand how men think, they don't understand how people perceive them as women being over emotional. And so they can never really get the entire picture and they can never really get the entire, you know, perspective. And they can't think on one side and they can't figure things out. And so they don't ever get the answers that they need. They don't ever see people for what they are because they are only looking from one perspective. And so, right. So when a woman is able to think on both sides and see the logic as well as the emotion, and she's able to see much, much more, to accomplish much more, to get more out of life in general. She's able to be conscious above other people because she knows more and can access more because she's pulling from both sides, the masculine and the feminine. Um, right. So that's what that last line meant. And all throughout the Gospels of Thomas, the disciples kept asking Jesus, "Tell us who you are. How can we see you? reveal yourself to us. And Jesus kept saying, I am among you, I am scattered around the earth, I am there, but you don't see me. You know, look, and then he says, look at the heavens and then look at the earth and then look around you. You still don't see me. So basically what he was saying was, look up, look at the sky, look at the ground, now look up in the middle. You still can't see me? So what he's saying is look at the blackness of the sky and the brownness of the earth, and then look around at the people. You still don't see me. They still didn't see him. So he never truly revealed what or who he was or the people were. It was for the disciples to figure out and for the people to figure out reading the Gospels of Thomas. So, mhm, that whole book is straight up hermetic. Like everything he's talking about is straight up sounds like Thoth. So if you like Thoth, if you like Tahuti, if you like the Emerald Tablets, the Gospels of Thomas is like way shorter and gets right to the point. Um, but if you have to be very good at metaphor and decoding to truly understand it on a higher perspective, the whole man devoured by the lion and vice versa is hinting towards reincarnation, right? The sun would represent the lion. The whole man would represent uh, the indigenous man of Earth, um, right? Returning back to source and then uh, being reborn. That's true. Okay. We are on the same page as listening to metaphysical audiobooks and thinking along the same lines. Oh, cool, pretty. Okay, so yeah, we're all one. He was saying we're all one, and what he was saying by that is like when he kept talking about eating, like people eating other people, or people eating this, or people eating that. In that text, eating represents or devouring represents mating, mating, creating offspring. One set of DNA devouring another set of DNA, and then when he spoke about um, when you die, like when you die, hide your body, find a place for your body, lock it up, because he says they will come to eat you after you are dead. And that's exactly what we're talking about a lot on my channel. People trying to get, they've done that with mummies from ancient Egypt. They've tried to like put it in powder form and eat of that um, melanated flesh, the organs and whatnot. So that is what he was talking about on that aspect, that they will try to eat you even after death. Uh, and then a lot of the quotes towards the end was focusing on the body and the soul. He was saying, "Woe to man who depends on a body or a soul." So basically, that in itself means, do you not know who you are? Do you not know that you are the cosmos, the source, and you're bigger than a body or a soul? So most people, when they depend on their body or their soul or their spirituality or their religion or, their spirit body, it's almost like, but you're way more than that. So becoming one would represent becoming like the darkness of the cosmos, or, you know, the dark matter, to become one, to become all. Right. Um, Yeah, I feel you on that DNA. I've been investigating the tadpole in fertilization. Oh, yep. And then there was a part that struck me that was a lot about genetics. He said something that was about genetics and how they're trying to create, or how they're trying to figure out a way to genetically modify DNA to put melanin inside of it after, you know. um, after the fact. There was a part in there that says you cannot put an old patch on a new garment. You cannot put an old patch onto a new garment, it will tear. So that metaphor in itself was saying the old the old garment or the old patch, I'm sorry, the old patch would represent um, melanin, and the new garment would represent, a new person. And when you try to patch up a new garment with something so old, so ancient, it's not going to work. It's going to rip apart. It's not going to be the same type of fabric. It's not going to be the same type of um, consistency, or it's not going to be the same type of um, it's not going to be the same because it's so old. And so it's you're not going to be able to merge the two together because one is way older than the other. Okay. So right, right, right. He also talked about destroying the temple, which no one would be able to rebuild. Exactly. Destroying the temple in which no one would be able to rebuild is representing, he's going to destroy the way that genetics work so that they cannot take that melanin successfully, and only those who inherit it will be able to have it, because the original is not going to be there, and only those who inherited that DNA from the original will be able to keep it, pass it on, and things like that. Okay. Okay, so another part that stood out to me was when he was talking about hating the parents, or hating the mother and the father, and loving the mother and the father. So he was speaking about the physical parents versus the parents of the cosmos, or the parents of, your spiritual, heavenly, you know cosmic um, source. So hating, when he says hate, it means not wanting to um, be one with them, but wanting to be one with them, not following their rules, but following universal or cosmic rules, not following their law, but universal law, because their parents, you know, human parents, the earthly parents, may not have the same understanding and may get in the way of doing, you know, that work. Right. If melanin is within us, how do we sell it? You can't sell it. Um, People can. It talks about that in there too. It says the merchant, nor the a man of the marketplace, or nor a merchant can enter into the kingdom. Which means if you bought melanin, or if you sell melanin, you can't get in. So basically, it represents anyone who bought, if it's fake melanin, or they bought it. Melanin, melanin has consciousness in it, so it will automatically shut down and not do what it's supposed to be doing upon, you know, when it's needed to do what it needs to do. So it won't work out. So right. They sell it by extracting it from the organs. They sell it by trying to synthetically remake it with stem cells. They sell it by getting it out of uh, just dead bodies, fetuses, wherever they can get it from. They know how to extract it. But the problem is, you can make a topical cream, you can make injections, but it does not do well with their health. It doesn't do well with their health. It's very dangerous for their health. It does not stay for very long, and you have to do it every day, and it can make you sick. But the only way for it to be able to really work is if it were embedded into the DNA. And you cannot embed it into the DNA. It will not embed into that DNA that it did not come from. So they're still trying to figure that out, but they won't. And that's what I was talking about earlier about you can't put an old patch over over a new cloth or a new clothes or something like that. It means it's so ancient, it's so old. The only way you can really have it in your DNA is to inherit it. So, um, like Bobby Hemmett said, it's the Bendu seed, faith of a mustard seed, right? Right. So then the Gospels of Thomas talks about the wheat, and then the weeds in the field. It talks about how the wheat was planted, and then the weeds grew up, and they couldn't tell the weeds from the wheat, and so then in the end, the weeds were burned. They caught on fire, and the wheat remained. So that's another metaphor of what's happening right now with the solar radiation. Um, so I'm trying to read some of these questions. Those new organ places on commercials. Wow, yeah. Um, they will. Well, they are still trying to sell it. Not gonna work. Nope. It it works temporarily to darken the skin, but it does not protect against radiation from the sun. Like doesn't protect against UVB radiation from the sun. It will darken the skin, but it won't protect the DNA. It will never get done because it was only to be inherited. Okay. Because they want to be God. Yep. And so the whole thing is, the whole thing with this human trafficking and people being kidnapped and sold, and it's at a high alarming rate. And it's like you're almost upset about having even to leave the house because now you got to deal with this. At these times, um, people are really trying to harvest melanated people on the earth. They're really trying to take as many as possible to get the last bit of research in organs. And then there's some people with a lot of money who just want to possess another human being or exploit another human being or make money off selling. So, it's crazy out there. And the times that we're living in, when something like this increases on a mass scale and the news doesn't talk about it, and you have like thousands, hundreds of thousands of people going missing, and human traffickers everywhere, they can get paid a lot of money. So, but it's because time is running out for a lot of people, and they're trying to harvest as many as possible to, you said, the Last Supper. Exactly. The Last Supper. So, Cindy won. I got to show that comment because that's crazy. I'm just going to let y'all read it. I watched the Jordan Peele movie, the first one with the teacup. I can't remember. Oh, that's Get Out. Yep, Get Out. That's crazy. Yeah. Um. So, yep, yep. I linked Man of Letters audiobook in the description so y'all can check it out if y'all have not read or listened to the Gospels of Thomas. So in the Gospels of Thomas, Jesus refers to the dead, or how you will live forever and will not see death. So that, that represents your eternal soul, your eternal essence does not die, but it continues to move forward and live on. Thank you, Mickey Keemer. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Thank you for all the knowledge and for the time you put into learning to teach us. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Thank you, third species. You too. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I appreciate that, y'all. So, and then he talks a lot about abundance and profit, like making money. Well, not a lot, but he talks about poverty and this and that, but he means it in a different way. And he talks about those who have entered the kingdom, or those who know thyself, will never see poverty. So poverty can mean both things biblically. Poverty can mean without something, without you melanin, or it can mean lacking, material things. So poor in knowledge, it could mean poor in just all aspects of self. But when you know yourself, and that's why I would say, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. When you know who you are, in the Gospel of Thomas, it says you will be superior to all that walk the earth. That's what it says. It's like you will be above or superior to all that walk the earth once you know who you are, once you know thyself. And right. And I was like, wow, did they really just say that? Did this just really say what I thought it said? So many people walk around and have no clue of who they are. And the example that he used there was, it's like inheriting a field from your father, who didn't know that there was a hidden treasure buried there. And you got the field and you didn't know that there was a hidden treasure buried there either, right? So you sold the field. And when you sold the field, the person who bought the field went digging around and found the treasure and began to sell it with interest. That represented slavery. Um, you know, when you lost the knowledge of who you were and took everything for granted, and passed it on and didn't pass on any knowledge, and then someone bought it, and then they went to digging around because they knew, and then they figured it out and start to sell at interest. So that means that's the whole thing with the slavery. So, and then he always talks about, let one among you um, be of understanding, or, and he talks about those with ears to listen and eyes to see. Um, Basically, he's saying, those of you who are awake and understand what I'm saying in code, tell them other people. Or if you don't know code, find someone who does to interpret it for you. Because, I can't just come straight out and say it at this time, because it has to remain a secret. Um, One thing I found interesting in the part where he talked about the Pharisees and the scribes have stopped the others from entering the kingdom because they know that they themselves cannot. Exactly. They will mix up the knowledge, mix up the images, try to keep you not knowing who you are, and then exploit those same people in the end. But then they always figure it out because they always wake up. And when that time is near, or when they see a lot of people waking up, that's when they start, scrambling around, losing power. This is why the human trafficking thing is so big in the U.S. right now among, melanated children and mothers. This is why it's happening, because they're scrambling to get many as they can into wherever they're taking them, or whatever, before things and people start waking up in massive amounts. Right. Alchemy was cracking my Man, how work going? Oh, y'all are talking to each other. Hey, man, letters. Yes, I linked your video in the description below because I'm trying to decode. Excuse me. For the people. Y'all talk so much. I'm getting hoarse. So I'm going to take a throat lozenge. Time's up. Thank you. Sorry, y'all have to cough real quick. Hold on. Naked people. Oh, that part about taking off the clothes. Sorry, y'all. That part in the Gospels of Thomas where Jesus is telling his disciples, those of you who take off your clothes and trample over them like children. People were like, "Ooh, that's so gay. That's so gay." I'm like, y'all can't decode. Y'all can't decode. So clothes means your physical body. And taking them off and trampling over them like children means you are happy to depart from your physical form. Like children are happy to, whenever you get ready to give a kid a bath and you take their clothes off and they're just a baby and they run around naked, they don't know they're naked, they don't care, they don't see the difference because they're not attached to that form yet. They don't understand that form fully. They're not invested in that form of physical self yet. They don't understand what naked is. So, when you die, you know how they have spirits and ghosts that are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave the earth. I'm attached to the earth. I don't see anything in the sky. I don't see any angels and the clouds. So, I'm attached to this physical form and this physical world, and I don't know what to do. And woe is me, I didn't finish what I was doing. And like those type of people don't understand who they are. And so they're attached to their physical form and their physical earthly life. But those who know who they are and their connection and things like that, they're happy to shed the human form. Okay. You still walk around naked and you're grown? Well, okay. Okay. So, yeah. And then I know a lot of people were saying, oh, when the male becomes like the female or the female becomes like a man, then they can enter into the kingdom. That just means the masculine and the feminine mind merging, or the woman being able to think with logic versus emotion. A woman being able to cut off and control emotions totally and make and think more on the logical side as a man does. So it doesn't mean for her to physically turn into a man. It means for her to mentally turn into a man because all is mental, all is mind. So people are like, wow, this is confusing. Like, I don't know what is he saying? This is not right. Um, and then you have people or the disciples continuously asking him to reveal himself, and he keeps giving clues and hints and say, y'all still don't see. And so basically, he's telling the disciples, y'all aren't it. He's telling them, find one among you who is of understanding, you know, those with ears to hear and eyes to see. Listen. This means this is code. Whenever he says that, it means code. And whenever he says, find one among you that understands, that means find someone who knows how to decode if you don't understand what I'm saying. And then even in the Bible, it sometimes it lean not to your own understanding. That means this is based on a certain type of understanding, which means this is code. So, mhm, are transgenders more in tune with this union of and feminine energy? Masculine, feminine energy. It depends, because for me, if you're trans physically, are you trans mentally? Are you the trinity mentally? Are you both mentally? Or does the two become one mentally? Are you both a man and a woman? Do you think both as a man or a woman and a woman? Um, does your life reflect that? Are you able to be superior over the world? Because that's what the Gospels of Thomas claims that you're supposed to be able to do, at least mentally. Are you wiser and smarter than most? Are you entering into the kingdom of heaven, which means are you able to understand how the cosmos works on your behalf and that you are the cosmos? Do they know this? Those who know thyself will be superior in the world. So the physical form has nothing to do with the mental form. Okay. You can have a trans person, but they may not be there mentally. The only person that I know, there's two people that I know that have merged in such a way, mentally and spiritually and physically, and Prince, that would probably fit that mold. And you know what I'm saying? Not saying that they were trans, but they were embracing both sides of their masculine and feminine energy, as well as the mental aspect as well. So that would be um, a more accurate um, representation. Michael. Um, Prince. Michael. Yeah. And I was breaking down Santa and the reindeer. Sasha and I are always, decoding things. And did you know that Santa, if you break down the etymology of the name, means grateful indigenous people, thankful indigenous man. Um, if you break down the words, if you look up the word san, S-A-N, then the word ta, T-A, put it together, that's what it means. Because first of all, they wouldn't call him Santa because he's not a woman. And that's a feminine form of something. Um, they call him Saint, which they do sometimes, but Santa Claus, Claus, where does Claus come from? Nicholas, Nick means victory, winner, the one who wins. Then if they change it, just shorten it to clause, that's like, a contract, a clause in a contract. And then you have the reindeer, which represent you melanated uh, people, and also vibrations, frequencies, chakras. Some people could call them plagues upon the earth, whatever. And Rudolph would be like the son of man. Um, it would be like a mixture, a hybrid of the two. And the red nose, because Rudolph means fame, and shining so bright through the fog. We were just breaking it down. The weather is fog, shining bright through fog, leading the way. You know, um, this would be the son of man. And then also, Santa lives at the North Pole, but there's an ocean there. Like he would be living in the Arctic Ocean. So Santa lives at the North Pole, and every year on Christmas, or he takes his reindeers and travels around the world. That's the move. That's the shifting North magnetic pole. The North magnetic pole shift. The elves who make the gifts or the toys or give you coal are ELF, electro low frequencies of the earth, lower energies, lower frequencies, ELF, 5G. And when Santa moves around the earth with his reindeer, lead, you know, dropping gifts through people's chimney, you have a chakra system, and this top chakra would be your chimney. Is he dropping gifts or is he dropping coal, rocks? Is he dropping stones or is he dropping gifts? Depends on if you're naughty or nice. I'm so nice. That song by the Carters. Everybody type. Beyonce's and Jay-Z song Nice. Are you naughty? You have not. Are you not? So the whole thing, the whole Christmas thing is all about the gifts of the energy that's coming in, the energy that's within the earth, the energy that is being harnessed by the towers and the 5G, the solar energy that's coming in from the sun. That's why they threw Jesus in there along with Santa and throw them all together. So, mhm, uh-huh. So, do I have a Christmas tree? I have a black Christmas tree. Yes, I do. Hey. You think Rudolph is Mars, the sleigh? Well, someone asked me earlier in the community section to listen to the song Rapture by Blondie, and I did. I watched the video too. And her rap is talking about the man of Mars eats the man of Mars eats houses. Houses represents people. Um, then he went, or no, cars. I'm sorry. The man of Mars eats cars. That represents people or spirits. Um, then she says, "Oh, he's sick of cars. Now he wants guitars. Guitars represent a frequency, a sound frequency. Um, so, once you're out of spirit form, once you're out of light form, then you become a sound or a sound frequency. So then he wants to eat sound. So the man of Mars, and Mars can be interpreted in so many ways. War, it could also be interpreted as Mars also means the ocean. So it's so many different ways to interpret that, but basically it's saying that something outside of Earth is feeding and absorbing and eating and becoming one with certain energies, certain peoples. And then on the video at the end, there's this tall black guy in a white tuxedo and a top hat walking up some steps through a gate. And then the people behind him were Caucasian, but they had on black trench coats and black sunglasses, and they were also walking through the gate. So those represent, their clothing represents their body, their skin, their eumelanin, and it was called Rapture. So it's from the 80s. If y'all check it out, okay. hmm And then that led me to also think about. I gotta go in a few minutes, but it also led me to think about um, right now during this time, a lot of people are talking about that Kanye West video closed on Sunday, and they're kind of dissing it because they're like, well, why do they have Kim and all her sisters there and Chris Kardashian there? Why are the Kardashians there? Why would Kanye do that? It looks so stupid. Da, da, da. Well, they were all in these giant black like vehicles, and then you see Kim's mom, Chris, get out with Kanye, and they're all wearing these brown outfits or these coveralls. Brown coveralls. So basically, he's saying that those women are covered by their melanin. Their offspring is covered by their melanin. And the offspring had on red and blue, representing the two becoming one, the masculine and the feminine, the blood and the gamma ray, however you want to say it. But they were portraying that alchemy in the video. So a lot of people didn't understand the video. I think I saw some famous radio talk show, dissing it because they didn't understand it. But that's basically what the video was talking about. hmm Shira, what does in my father's house are many mansions? If I were not so, I would have told you. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. Um, that means in the heavens, in the universe, are many dimensions or multiverses. I mean, this ain't the only one. This is not the only universe. This is not the only world. This is not the only version of Earth. There are different versions of everything. There are multiverses. And so the frequency that you vibrate on, the way that you think will take you, and the decisions you make will take you to an alternate version. Each decision you make, it's like you're going to an alternate version every decision you make. hmm I I went on Neil deGrasse Tyson's Facebook page and I did ask the question about dark matter, and the four states of matter. I asked it in a scientific way so he wouldn't think it was all spiritual, so he could answer it. But I said, the four states of matter, solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Um, is there a sixth or seventh state of matter? Could it be dark matter? So I asked that question. Maybe he can answer it in code or however. It doesn't matter because I'll understand. But I ask it in that way because sometimes you don't want to say, spiritual stuff, but he knows what you're asking. Because one time he said dark matter or dark energy could be a bunch of ghosts. So, mhm. At the end of the video, you see North and blue representing what you have to become. And then she screamed Chick-fil-A. So really loud. So her frequency was high. She was wearing the blue, which is also the throat chakra, which is also a frequency. You must become sound. Um, And then chick or chicken represents a timekeeper. So fill a, I mean, we could go into that. So the timekeepers, and then fill a. So Sunday, closed on Sunday. The timekeepers are closed on Sunday. I don't know. I'll have to think of that a little bit more into depth, and I'll get back on you. I'll get back with you on that one. This is why you use cause and effect to choose the realm you want to vibrate. That's true. I know that there's a realm where people are asleep and they just allow things to happen and they're not in control of their own reality. So that level of earth, I'll be there in a second. That level of earth is like whatever happens, happens. But when you start waking up, you start getting to different versions until you get to the one where you're able to create and live the life that you desire. Okay. So I gotta go because James wanted me to go eat with him, go to lunch. Lunch. So I will go. But I'll be back later. And I'll see y'all later. If y'all can figure out the Chick-fil-A thing, y'all put it down below. Bye.